everyone. Good, well, a good day to everyone. This is your vampire Oneesama sister Midnight, here with you this wonderful Wednesday. I don't know what time it is in your end, so I'm just gonna start with a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening. So, as I've said during the last ASMR stream that we had, I'm testing out schedules for having my ASMR streams usually in the morning or the afternoon time for me, so that those who are in different time zones will have it on their actual time that they're falling asleep. But before anything else, let me just greet everyone who is in chat. Let's start with, let me see. We start with the Canolas with the 61 bytes, top of the pack when it comes to the number of bytes. We have Serzat, congratulations in getting first for the second time, and for the 47 bytes as well. Thank you. And now I go back to bed. Have a good stream, everyone. Alright, Serzat, that is a high bye. Thank you, ma'am. Please do get some sleep. It's very important that you do so. I'm always a big advocate of getting enough sleep, so please make sure to do that. Also, Ritz, thank you for the 23 bytes. Welcome in, spicy mortal detected. Going to the bakery, alright, please do take care as well. To anyone who is planning to go outside, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, as long as you're going out, please make sure to take care of yourself, okay? Let me see. Mr. Nanya, damn business. Good. Well, I don't know what time it is on your end. I'm assuming it's evening. Thank you for the 17 bytes. Hello. So, like I said, I always want you guys to prioritize your sleep. Hence why I have the ASMR stories to hopefully help you with, to help you relax and get you to sleep. Even though the stories themselves, the content of the stories themselves might be something that you're not usually something that you would listen to fall asleep, but in my case, I listen to crime documentaries to relax, so it could be that listening to horror stories might help you relax, so you never know. Going back to what I said about going out, as a fully grown adult, I am now just, not literally now, but I have come to realize that when our parents tell us to stay at home and get some sleep, and as a child, more often than not, our first impulse is always to rebel against it. Rebel against the idea of, of staying indoors and resting, because our instinct is to go out, play with our teammates or with our friends, and explore the outside world. Well, our first story for today, I guess we're gonna go with today, not this evening, because it's not evening for me, it is afternoon on my end. So this particular story is focused on those of us who are, for lack of a better word, perpetually online. Hello, Sakura. Good afternoon and welcome in. Thank you for the 28 bytes. Although I don't know what time it is in your end, maybe morning or evening. It can be either of those. Definitely not afternoon. So, our first story for this afternoon is a post made by someone who has concerns about his friend who has been online for 72 hours. I don't know for any of you, especially if you have either Discord or Steam, which tells your status, or if you're online, it usually tells your status, like if you're playing a game, how long you've been playing, right? Nothing like this in a car audio in a traffic jam at 7 a.m. Just don't fall asleep, Sakura, alright? That is the most important part. Don't fall asleep while you're driving. So, more often than not, in my case, I don't like to show the games that I'm playing or show that I'm online. That is something that I've always practiced. But in this particular story, it has become a concerning, well, not subject, I guess, but concerning status, because the author of the story, their friend has been online for 72 hours. And so we'll find out. Let us begin. My work buddy Aaron is my best friend. We met in the job 5 years ago, both training at the same time in graphic design, and then 3 years later, we took the leap and started our own design company. I want to rip my steering wheel off and throw it at the other driver. Oh, I have been there, Sakura. I am an angry driver as well. I have a bad tendency to curse or rail at the stupidity of other drivers when I'm behind the wheel. So I feel you. The studio is beautiful. Modern graphic patterns across the concrete, softened by living walls, and softly painted abstract art. We have clients from all over the world, and at 25 years old, we are living the dream. Hello, Ginger Knot. Welcome in and thank you for the 2 bytes. You're now enrolled in Bitcoin, the only crypto backed by blood. For now, we are leaving the world of the Jianghu and diving into the world of horror and HP Lovecraft. If you like listening to horror stories, welcome aboard. Our art is digital, and as such, in the rare free time that we get, we enjoy PC gaming. It was something we found in common early on that just solidified our friendship. In the uni days, we'd spend hours trying to defeat each other at a huge variety of games. Despite the cool pretense of our studio, we're true nerds at heart. World of Warcraft was our absolute favorite. As the years have gone on, we get less and less time to game. Both of us have girlfriends and homes, and I have a beautiful 6-month-old daughter to look after. My little family is my world. Aaron will always be my best friend, but I can't spend hours raiding dungeons in the PC anymore. Bitcoin is amazing. I'm gonna be quiet and listen. Alright. Also, if you're hearing some weird noises in the background, that is I believe a big vehicle outside, a dump truck to be exact. It's causing a rumble. So our story author and his friend are, well, gamers, true nerds at heart, playing World of Warcraft. A few days ago, I was chilling at home with my girl. We were watching a movie on Netflix and having a takeaway while our baby was at my mom's for some Nana time. Aaron texted me really excited. I just got this new game called Spirit of Fear. You're going to love it, man. It's so good. Download it now. No excuses. My girlfriend saw the text over my shoulder and smiled at me. The ending credits of her movie were rolling. You can if you want, you know. I'm going to have a nice baby-free bath, so you may as well relax, she said. Damn, I love her so much. Gentlemen, this is a sign for you guys, for those who are not yet in committed relationships. Get yourself a woman who can understand your gaming habits, or better yet, can join you in it. I text Aaron back, turned my PC on, and downloaded the game. It was made by a brand new company and was mega cheap at £10.99. I can see him on a leaderboard of players sitting at position number 189 of just over 2K players. It also showed you how many hours the player had clocked on the game. Aaron had been playing for 3 hours and had done pretty well to rank where he had. The game was unusual. It was a fantasy adventure style game where you play as a character named Oberon Delictus, battling hundreds of creepy creatures that ran on all fours, kind of like a dog, but had human flesh and extra limbs growing from strange parts of their bodies. The further you got, the stranger and larger the enemies became. The aim was to reach the end of a cursed forest, known as the Endless Abyss. Hello, Jones. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the 48 bites, and happy birthday to you as well. The further you got, the stranger and larger the enemies became. The aim was to reach the end of a cursed forest known as the Endless Abyss. It wasn't multiplayer, which was odd for Aaron to be so into, but was a passable game and entertained me for a few hours. I collected crystals and other magical items to aid my journey and made it to the top 300 players. But eventually tiredness kicked in and I went to join my girlfriend Kate in bed. Just before I switched my PC off, I checked the scoreboard, and Aaron had reached 122 and had been playing solidly the whole time. He had now clocked 5 hours. I laughed to myself about what a nerd he is. I mean, 5 hours and 3 hours are, what do you guys call it? Noob hours. Those are noob stats. 5 hours is nothing. The next morning I got up, showered, dressed myself in jeans and a printed shirt with smart shoes, kissed my girlfriend goodbye, and hopped in my car to work. I was running a bit late, but it didn't matter. Aaron was always early, and I knew he'd have the coffee machine heating up ready. We had a huge meeting that morning about a high-value contract we were vying for. I arrived at work, and the studio was all locked up. Odd. Maybe Aaron had been stuck in traffic or was running late too. I got in and switched on the coffee machine. Priorities. Then started prepping for the big meeting. An hour went by before I noticed that Aaron still wasn't there. I'd had no phone calls and no messages. Our intern, Rita, had turned up and was already working. Rita was always late. We had even floated firing her for it, and she was a hard worker when she did arrive, so we kept her on. Her being half an hour into work before Aaron had even texted got me worried. Maybe he had been in a car accident or something? I decided to give him a call. We had 20 minutes until our meeting arrived, and Aaron had been pushing for this contract for the better part of 6 months. The guy loved him, and I had been mostly in the background of this one. Whatever was keeping him needed to be good. He answered the phone after a single ring. "What's going on, man? I need you here right now." "I'm sorry, Jay. I'm just not feeling myself. I won't be coming to work today," Aaron stated. His voice was monotonous and flat. It sounded like he was just going through the motions. He'd struggled with depression for a while in the uni days, and I worried that may have hit. I had been distracted with my new baby. Maybe I'd missed the signs. "Is there anything I can do for you? Have you spoken to the doctors?" "I'm sorry, Jay. I'm just not feeling myself. I won't be coming to work today," he repeated, in the same flat, monotone voice. There was no discussion, nothing coming after, just dead air meeting my ears through the speaker. Aaron also never called me Jay. Always man or buddy or some other variation, but never my actual name. This wasn't like him at all. "Okay, man, well, I really hope you feel better. I'll let you know how the big meeting goes. Hopefully I don't blow this contract for you." I responded a little peeved, but mostly concerned for his well-being. The guy I knew had fought so hard for this contract he'd have made it to this meeting on his deathbed if he had to. He was the charmer of our partnership, and he knew it. "Okay, thank you, Jay. I will take your advice and contact a doctor." Just like that, he put the phone down. No goodbye, silly comment about my acquisition skills, or even a fake cuff to make it better. Something was definitely wrong. Maybe I'd pop round to see him tonight after work. I was there through his struggle in uni. Maybe I could pull him out of his funk. The day went pretty smoothly. I let Rita sit in on the meeting, and the head of the other company took quite a shine to her. She is full of great ideas and so smart despite only being 18. I'd like to think that that's what he recognized, but I feel her classically stunning looks and natural charm might have been a factor. We got the contract, regardless. I rushed home that night to grab some beers from the fridge and head over to Aaron's to cheer him up. I hadn't scheduled any other meetings that day due to the big one, so I made it home quite early. As I breezed back from the fridge and into the living room, I caught sight of my PC in the corner of my eye, and the urge got the best of me. I think we've all been there. I know I have definitely been there. Where you know that you're supposed to be doing something else, but then you have your PC, and then you realize, oh, maybe just one game. And then, however many hours later, you realized, oh shit, I was supposed to be doing this, or doing that, or going somewhere, and yeah, and now we are stuck in this area. Hello, Felix Argyle. Welcome in, welcome in. I sat down, logged into Spirit of Fear, and went to the leaderboard to see if I had maintained my spot in the top 300. I didn't manage to check because Aaron's online name caught my eye first. He was in the top 50 players and had clocked a grand total of 23 hours. The absolute Judas had ghosted the biggest meeting of our careers so far to play some stupid game about an enchanted forest. He hadn't even attempted to get an hour of sleep. I was so angry. I closed the PC, popped open one of the beers, and settled in for a chilled family evening with my beautiful girls. That idiot was probably frantically gaming when we spoke on the phone. I wasn't gonna waste my time on him, and I was too angry to confront him then. I decided I'd speak to him at work the next day, when I was calmer and had have crashed and woken up and realized what a prick had been. I ignored my computer the whole night. I didn't even want to think about it. I was focused on what I was going to say to Aaron the next day. My girlfriend tried to calm me down, but I still struggled to sleep, stewing over it. Aaron didn't turn up for work the next day either. I knew he wouldn't, because when I checked in the morning, the clocked hours in Spirit of Fire had reached 38. My position had rapidly dropped. Aside from those few hours, the first night, I hadn't touched the game, and thousands more people had started playing. I was ranking somewhere in the 4,000s, but Aaron had remained in the top 50. I did start to really worry at this point. He hadn't slept in at least 38 hours, and all for some stupid cheap game that wasn't even his usual type. But I had to go to work. Someone had to keep our business thriving and let Rita in. About midday, I got a call from a distressed Kate. She had Aaron's girlfriend, Melina, at the house. She had just come from Aaron's place. They don't live together, but she has a key and hadn't heard from him. So when she had arrived and found him sitting in his own urine at his PC, a huge argument ensued. Oh boy. Kate said that when Melina had tried to challenge him about basic hygiene and skipping work, that had gone mad. He hadn't argued back at all, not saying a word, until she touched his shoulder. He reacted by jumping off his chair and hitting her so hard she flew across the room. Melina was sitting in my living room with a black eye. Only a true gamer would name a character in the story they wrote as Melina. Melina isn't really a very common name, to be honest. But if you're very fond of video games, then you will know where it comes from. I cancelled my appointments and shut up shop. I didn't know what to do. Aaron loved this girl so much, he'd spoken to me about marrying her. He would never want to hurt her. This wasn't his character. He got mouthy after a few too many, but never violent. I rushed home and Melina was beat up bad. She said he'd only hit her once, but you could see how much force it was with. The poor girl's eye was so swollen she could barely open it. Kate was seething. She wanted to go over there and kill him herself, but Melina seemed shaken by his behavior. "I don't think this is him," she whimpered. "It's like he's someone else completely. He didn't even sound like him." "You just don't want to believe that absolute—" I had to cut Kate off. "No, I know what she means. He didn't sound like him on the phone yesterday. The way he spoke was all formal and off. I shared the leaderboard with him, including Aaron's now 45 hours of gameplay. Almost 2 days solid on a game, now confirmed to be without toilet breaks. Something was seriously wrong. Aaron's longest streak on the computer was 7 hours as a teenager, and wow, this was something different entirely. I had to go and see him. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know like how long your longest streak was on in terms of being online on a video game, but imagine going almost 2 days already with no bathroom breaks. I left Melina at our place with Kate and drove straight over to Aaron's with his girlfriend's spare key and the complete lack of a plan. I didn't need the spare key. The door was unlocked, and there he was sat, facing his PC. The game had changed significantly from what I saw. The creatures weren't scary anymore, or running like deformed humanoid dogs. They were beautiful beings surrounded by bright rings of light in the impossibly colorful forest. The character was dripping with gold armor and seemed to be in complete control of the light beings. Every now and again a plant would extend a vine in an attempt to trip the character, but the light beings were there to save you. It looked like he had to be nearing the end of the game. "Jay, why aren't you playing? We could have so much fun," Jay said in the monotonous voice, not breaking eye contact with his computer. "What's wrong with you, man? Why did you do that to Melina? You need to turn off that computer and get in the shower. It stinks in here." It did. The ammonia from the pee he was soaked in penetrated even the walls of the room. It was gross. His lack of personality and seeming lack of free will was starting to creep me out. Aaron still didn't break eye contact with the game. His fingers didn't stop frantically touching different keys, as if Spirit of Fear was a Beethoven masterpiece. But he did speak. "I can't stop, Jay. My veins have become a part of this forest now. I will be the first human to reach the end. At the end, I will be set free. If I am set free, I can leave this place, this endless abyss. It looks oh so lovely, but really it's just trickery. The darkness is coming for me, and it won't let me leave. As soon as I looked for too long, I connected." As I was listening to his ramblings, I noticed what looked to be blood coming from near the mouse. My first thought was that it had worn his skin away clicking. But what became clear was far worse. Sprouting from the veins in his wrist were 2 cables, one for each arm, stretching like a thick vine in the jungle, all the way to behind the computer screen. He was literally connected to this damned virtual forest. My eyes wandered to the screen again, where the pretty light beings had changed into something horrific. They took the shape of something no standard earthly game could. Aaron's little sister, who was murdered walking home after school many years ago. Except her face was twisted. She didn't look warm or friendly like the real her had been. She looked dark and viscous, like she could hurt you even through the screen. My heart pounded. I'd never been more terrified in my life. I tried to grab hold of Aaron's arm and pull out the cable, but the second my skin made contact with his, he grabbed hold of my arm, twisted it backwards. The cable seemed to extend as he moved and adjust to fit him. He didn't break eye contact with the screen once, watching as his evil computerized sister lost health while his character plunged a sword into her repeatedly. I was terrified. I'm not proud to say I left, but I did. I got the fuck out of there, locking the door behind me and my best friend in with some cursed game and a complete lack of sanity. A cursed game. Maybe I was losing my mind. This was stupid. I'd seen articles come out about spirit of fear in our gaming circles during these few days claiming the game was addictive and nerve-wracking. The reviews may have used the term addictive, but there was nothing about losing the ability to fulfill basic toilet needs. Nothing to suggest the game was off at all. And besides, I was fine. I decided to try again, see if I'd missed something. One second. When Kate went to bed and Melina was asleep in her spare room, I snuck downstairs and booted up the game. Why would you do that? You literally just saw your friend addicted to the game with cords, wires running out of his hands. Why would you try the game? 1 second. Need to open something. My heart pounded as I played. I was desperate to find some sort of clue, something that could help me to help Aaron. But after 2 solid hours, nothing. I was completely able to come away from it and go to sleep. That was last night, and today Aaron is still online. At this current time, he's clocked almost 72 hours, and I don't know what to do. If he's not using the bathroom, I doubt he's eating or drinking, and I'm worried he's going to die. I was going to call the police today, or an ambulance or someone, but I wanted to help him without resorting to that. So I made a stupid decision. I decided to play a little more. Oh boy, why? I don't know why I thought it would help. I had some weird urge and I thought maybe I missed something last night because I was tired. Maybe I'd see something and I could save him, but I couldn't. I played for 5 hours straight today. Oh boy. The reason I'm writing this all down is because I'm stuck to my gaming chair. I can't move, and my whole body is locked. I can't turn my neck to look anywhere but my PC. I've been trying to resist the urge to play for so long, but it's only a matter of time. Please, someone help me. I can see the cables moving underneath my skin. I'm starting to get a pain in my wrist. And that ends our first story for today. Also, fun fact, my wrist also hurts. Although it may not be for the same reason as our story author here. But if your wrist has started hurting, usually means that you've been playing for far too long and you've been in front of your computer, your PC, for far too long. So please make sure to take care of yourselves, okay? Let me just mute for a little bit, and I'm going to drink some water as well. It's a sign. Exactly. Alright. So in that particular story, does that story turn you off from going back into playing video games? Or does it just entice you to play just a little bit more? What do you guys think? Did the story make you want to play more? No, all gotta go out one way or another. So if you can choose the way you go out into this world, Ginger, would you choose gaming as your way out? Whatever the case may be, I hope you guys do take care of yourselves, okay? Especially when it comes to being online and playing for long periods of time. It's not the worst way to go. Fair enough, fair enough. It is not indeed. Unless, of course, we take into consideration what happened to our friend here in the story, where he is literally sitting in his own pool of urine and who knows what else. Because you don't know what other excretions. I don't like to use that word, but yes. Anyways, let us move on to our next story. This one is more of a classical story, really. And the title of this is called The White Ship by HP Lovecraft. So if you're fond of classic horror macabre stories, then HP Lovecraft is the way to go. Let us begin. I am Basil Elton, keeper of the North Point light that my father and grandfather kept before me. Far from the shore stands the grey lighthouse, above sunken slimy rocks that are seen when the tide is low, but unseen when the tide is high. Past that beacon for centuries have swept the majestic barks of the seven seas. In the days of my grandfather there were many. In the days of my father not so many. And now there are so few that I sometimes feel strangely alone, as though I were the last man on our planet. From far shores came those white-sailed argosies of old, from far eastern shores where warm suns shine and sweet odors linger about strange gardens and gay temples. The old captains of the sea came often to my grandfather and told him of these things. Echo Blast, welcome in, and thank you for the prime sub. Welcome in, welcome in. I hope you guys are enjoying your game, by the way. I'm sorry I had to leave out of there. Bratty Cthulhu, welcome in. You felt summoned. Well, considering that the story I am about to read, or have just started reading, was by HP Lovecraft, the author of the story The Call of Cthulhu. So hence, you are summoned. You're dead. I see. We did, so no worries. Thanks for stopping by. No problem. Alright, let's continue. The old captains of the sea came often to my grandfather and told him of these things, which in turn he told to my father. And my father told me in the long autumn evenings when the wind howled eerily from the east, and I have read more of these things and of many things besides in the books men gave me when I was young and filled with wonder. But more wonderful than the lore of old men and the lore of books is the secret lore of ocean. Blue, green, gray, white, or black, smooth, ruffled, or mountainous. That ocean is not silent. All my days have I watched it and listened to it, and I know it well. At first, okay, 1 second. I'm being summoned as well. I have returned. My mistake, it was my other sister who was summoned, not I. All my days have I watched it and listened to it, and I know it well. At first it told me to only the plain little tales of calm beaches and near ports. But with the years it grew more friendly and spoke of other things, of things more strange and more distant in space and in time. Sometimes at twilight, in the gray vapors of the horizon have parted to grant me glimpses of the ways beyond, and sometimes at night, the deep waters of the sea have grown clear and phosphorescent to grant me glimpses of the ways beneath. And these glimpses have been as often of the ways that were and the ways that might be, as of the ways that are. For ocean is more ancient than the mountains, and freighted with the memories and the dreams of time. Out of the south it was that the white ship used to come when the moon was full and high in the heavens. Out of the south it would glide very smoothly and silently over the sea. And whether the sea was rough or calm, and whether the wind was friendly or adverse, it would always glide smoothly and silently. It sails distant in its long, strange tiers of oars moving rhythmically. One night I spied upon the deck a man, bearded and robed, and he seemed to beckon to me to embark for fair, unknown shores. Many times afterward I saw him under the full moon, and ever did he beckon to me. Very brightly did the moon shine in the night. I answered the call, and I walked out over the waters to the white ship on a bridge of moonbeams. Hello, Gecko. Welcome in, and thank you for the 46 bites. The man who had beckoned now spoke a welcome to me, in a soft language I seemed to know well, and the hours were filled with soft songs of the oarsmen as we glided away into a mysterious south, golden with the glow of that full, mellow moon. Okay, so there is an ad about to start, and I'm guessing not all are subscribed to Prime, so please bear with the ad and mute it if you can, if you are, trying to get some sleep. And when the day dawned, rosy and effulgent, I beheld the green shore of far lands, bright and beautiful, and to me unknown. Up from the sea rose lordly terraces of verdure, tree-studded and showing here and there the gleaming white roofs and colonnades of strange temples. As we drew nearer the green shore, the bearded man told me of that land, the land of Zar, where dwell all the dreams and thoughts of beauty that come to men once and then are forgotten. And when I looked upon the terraces again, I saw that what he said was true. For among the sights before me were many things I had once seen through the mists beyond the horizon and in the phosphorescent depths of the ocean. There too were forms and fantasies more splendid than any I had ever known. The visions of young poets who died in want before the world could learn of what they had seen and dreamed. But we did not set foot upon the sloping meadows of Zar, for it is told that he who treads them may never more return to his native shore. As the white ship sailed silently away from the templed terraces of Zar, we beheld in the distant horizon ahead the spires of a mighty city, and the bearded man said to me, "This is Thalarion, the city of 1,000 wonders, wherein resides all those mysteries that man has striven in vain to fathom." And I looked again at closer range and saw that the city was greater than any city I had known or dreamed of before. Into the sky the spires of its temples reached, so that no man might behold their peaks, and far back beyond the horizon stretched the grim, grey walls, over which one might spy only a few roofs. Weird and ominous, yet adorned with rich friezes and alluring sculptures. I yearned mightily to enter this fascinating yet repellent city, and besought the bearded man to land me at the stone pier by the huge cavern gate at Akariel. But he gently denied my wish, saying, "Into Thalarion, the city of 1,000 wonders, many have passed, but none returned. Therein walk only demons and mad things that are no longer men, and the streets are white with the unburied bones of those who have looked upon the Eidolon Lathi that reigns over the city." So the white ship sailed on past the walls of Thalarion, and followed for many days a southward flying bird, whose glossy plumage matched the sky out of which it had appeared. Then came we to a pleasant coast, gay with blossoms of every hue, where as far inland as we could see vast, lovely groves and radiant arbors beneath a meridian sun. From bowers beyond our view came bursts of song and snatches of lyric harmony, interspersed with faint laughter, so spoke no word, or interspersed with faint laughter so delicious that I urged the rowers onward in my eagerness to reach the scene. And the bearded man spoke no word, but watched me as we approached the lily-lined shore. Suddenly, a wind blowing from over the flowery meadows and leafy woods approached, brought a scent at which I trembled. The wind grew stronger, and the air was filled with a lethal, charnel odor of plague-stricken towns and uncovered cemeteries. And as we sailed madly away from that damnable coast, the bearded man spoke at last, saying, "This is Shura, the land of pleasures unattained." So once more the white ship followed the bird of heaven over warm, blessed seas fanned by caressing aromatic breezes. Day after day and night after night did we sail, and when the moon was caressing, or when the moon was full, we would listen to soft songs of the oarsmen, sweet as on that distant night when we sailed away from my far native land. And it was by moonlight that we anchored at last in the harbor of Sona Nil, which is guarded by twin headlands of crystal that rise from the sea and meet in a resplendent arch. This is the land of fancy, and we walked to the verdant shore upon a golden bridge of moonbeams. In the land of Sona Nil, there is neither time nor space, neither suffering nor death. And there I dwelt for many eons. Green are the groves and pastures, bright and fragrant the flowers, blue and musical the streams, clear and cool the fountains, and stately and gorgeous the temples, castles, and cities of Sona Nil. 1 second. I've returned. My eye is I don't know what's wrong with my eye, but it seems to be like burning for some reason. Oh wait, the ad break is starting now. Okay. Or in a minute or so. Okay. So, once the ad break starts, I will take a break to rest my eye as well. And then I'll be back once the ad break finishes. Alright? Over the countryside and amidst the splendor of cities rove at will the happy folk, of whom all are gifted with unmarred grace and unalloyed happiness. For the eons that I dwelt there, I wandered blissfully through gardens where quaint pagodas peep from pleasing clumps of bushes, and where the white walks are bordered with delicate blossoms. I climbed gentle hills from whose summits I could see entrancing panoramas of loveliness. Do you have any contact solution to flush your eye out? I do, actually. I will be putting that on after this one. Or rather when the stream is on break. I will try to put some drops and some eye drops on my eye. Because it seems to be stinging quite a lot. As my niece once said, her eyes feel spicy. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I have eye drops that the doctor prescribed so that I would. Yes, I called it spicy. Alright, I will be right back. have returned. Where were we? I'm trying to find out where we are. Okay, so the narrator of the story is now in the land of Sonanil, where he spent eons in said land. Okay, so, let us continue. It was against the full moon one night, in the immemorial year of Tharp, that I saw outlined the beckoning form of the celestial bird, and felt the first stirrings of unrest. Then I spoke with a bearded man, and told him of my new yearnings to depart for remote Cathuria, which no man hath seen, but which all believe to lie beyond the basalt pillars of the west. It is the land of hope, and in it shine the perfect ideals of all that we know elsewhere, or at least so men relate. But the bearded man said to me, beware of those perilous seas wherein men say Cathuria lies. In Sona Nil there is no pain nor death, but who can tell what lies beyond the basalt pillars of the west? Natheless at the next full moon, or nevertheless, at the next full moon I boarded the white ship, and with the reluctant bearded man left the happy harbor for untraveled seas. And the bird of heaven flew before, and led us toward the basalt pillars of the west. But this time the oarsmen sang no soft songs under the full moon. In my mind, I would often picture the unknown land of Cathuria with its splendid groves and palaces, and would wonder what new delights there awaited me. Cathuria, I would say to myself, is the abode of gods and the land of unnumbered cities of gold. Its forests are of aloe and sandalwood, even as the fragrant groves of Cameron, and among the trees flutter gay birds sweet with song. On the green and flowery mountains of Cathuria stand temples of pink marble, rich with carven and painted glories, and having in their courtyards cool fountains of silver, where purl with ravishing music the scented waters that come from the grotto-born river Narg. And the cities of Cathuria are cinctured with golden walls, and their pavements also are of gold. In the gardens of these cities are strange orchids and perfumed lakes, whose beds are of coral and amber. At night, the streets and the gardens are lit with gay lanthorns fashioned from the three-colored shell of the tortoise. And here resound the soft noises of the singer and the lutenist. And the houses of the cities of Cathuria are all palaces, each built over a fragrant canal bearing the waters of the sacred Narg. Of marble and porphyry are the houses, and roofed with glittering gold that reflects the rays of the sun and enhances the splendor of the cities as blissful gods view them from the distant peaks. Fairest of all is the palace of the great monarch Dorieb, whom some say to be a demigod, and others a god. High is the palace of Dorieb, and many are the turrets of marble upon which its walls. In its wide halls many multitudes assemble, and here hang the trophies of the ages, and the roof is pure gold, set upon tall pillars of ruby and azure, and having such carven figures of gods and heroes, that he who looks up to those heights seems to gaze upon the living Olympus. and the floor of the palace is of glass, under which flow the cunningly lighted waters of the Narg, gay with gaudy fish not known beyond the bounds of lovely Cathoria. Thus would I speak to myself of Cathoria, but ever would the bearded man warn me to turn back to the happy shores of Sona Nil. For Sona Nil is known of men, while none hath ever beheld Cathoria. And on the 31st day that we followed the bird, we beheld the basalt pillars of the west. Shrouded in mist they were, so that no man might peer beyond them or see their summits, which indeed some say reach even to the heavens. And the bearded man again implored me to turn back, but I heeded him not. For from the mists beyond the basalt pillars I fancied there came the notes of singer and lutanist, sweeter than the sweetest songs of Sona Nil, and sounding mine own praises, the praises of me, who had voyaged far under the full moon and dwelt in the land of fancy. So to the sound of melody the white ship sailed into the mist betwixt the basalt pillars of the west. And when the music ceased and the mist lifted, we beheld not the land of Cathoria, but a swift rushing resistless sea, over which our helpless bark was borne towards some unknown goal. Soon to our ears came the distant thunder of falling waters, and to our eyes appeared in the far horizon ahead the titanic spray of a monstrous cataract, wherein the oceans of the world drop down to abysmal nothingness. Then did the bearded man say to me with tears on his cheek, "We have rejected the beautiful land of Sona Nil, which we may never behold again. The gods are greater than men, and they have conquered." And I closed my eyes before the crash that I knew would come, shutting out the sight of the celestial bird which flapped its mocking blue wings over the brink of the torrent. So essentially they came over like he wanted to go to another land, another island, I suppose, but came to the edge of the world instead. Out of the crash came darkness, and I heard the shrieking of men and of things which were not men. From the east, tempestuous winds arose and chilled me as I crouched in the slab of damp stone which had risen beneath my feet. Then as I heard another crash, I opened my eyes and beheld myself upon the platform of that lighthouse, from whence I had sailed so many eons ago. In the darkness below there loomed the vast, blurred outlines of a vessel breaking up on the cruel rocks. And as I glanced over the waist, I saw the light had failed for the first time since my grandfather had assumed its care. And in the later watches of the night, when I went within the tower, I saw on the wall a calendar which still remained as when I had left it at the hour I sailed away. Within the dawn I descended the tower and looked for wreckage upon the rocks, but what I found was only this: a strange dead bird whose hue was of the azure sky, and a single shattered spar of a whiteness greater than that of the wave-tips of the mountain snow. And thereafter the ocean told me its secrets no more, though many times since, as the moon shone full and high in the heavens, the white ship from the south came never again. Okay, if I were still a student of literature, this particular story would have so many symbolisms in it. and I could probably spend hours upon hours trying to decipher the meaning of not only the ship itself, but also of what the different places that they visited represented. But that is not the purpose of this reading. So I hope you guys enjoyed that particular dive into the mind of HP Lovecraft and his tendency to use a lot of symbolism in his work to represent usually not only the human mind, but our journey as well. And most likely, not the journey towards the outside, but the journey inwards, which I think is the most difficult journey of all. Going inwards and discovering who you really are and finding out what it is that you really want. Whether you want to stay in Sonanil or go beyond Cathuria. Hello, Toady. Good afternoon and welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for the 2 bites. Yes, we are doing some ASMR for this afternoon. Reading stories, actually. Horror stories, to be exact, just so you know. So, if you're not fond of horror stories, then I suggest you click away. But if you like listening to them, some of them are not as scary, really. They're more of macabre, and they can be, well, some are horrific, but some of them can also be quite symbolic. So, we have just completed our story, The White Ship by HP Lovecraft. So I'm going to remove that now from my bookmarks. And we will proceed with our next story for today, which, ironically enough, is entitled The Midnight Train. So it has several parts, actually. So we'll start, of course, like any good story, we start at the beginning. The Midnight Train. It was my mistake. I'm a terribly anxious person, and usually I double check if I boarded the right train. Triple check sometimes, and check once again, right after the departure. But not this time. In my defense, it was very late. I had been working a late shift at my new job, had gotten lost in the streets of the town I didn't know yet, and when I finally arrived at the train station to take the train home, it was almost midnight. There was nobody around, which didn't concern me because it was Monday and very late, and nobody in their right mind would be outside now, especially considering the heavy rain that had started to pour half an hour ago. The thick raindrops were banging on the metal roof, and the sound was almost deafening. I threw the water-soaked hood of my jacket back and hurried over to the ticket machine to pay for the ride. It was way too expensive for just 3 stations, as usual. I didn't mind, just wanted to get home to the small village a few kilometers out of town. Like I said, it was late. The darkness and the rain made everything look a little foreign, and my eyes were burning from staring at computer screens for hours. Usually I check if I'm at the right platform. Hello, Thunder Siege. Welcome in, and thank you so much for the follow. This time, I simply went to platforms 3 and 4, turned to the train that was already waiting and got in. I did this because my train was to depart in 3 minutes. 1 second. There is a sound at the back. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Do you guys hear a beeping sound at the back? Please confirm if you can hear a beeping sound at the back or in the background. That is the sound of a vehicle reversing. Like I said, it was late. The darkness and the rain made everything. Oh, there's. Train stations at night were creepy, especially for a 21-year-old woman with no knowledge about self-defense. I crossed the threshold and was immediately confused by the seemingly antique interior of the train. It was certainly weird, but on the other hand, that didn't have to mean anything. Maybe they always use the old trains for the last rides of the day. Whatever it was, I didn't get the chance to think about it as I was approached by the conductor. He wore an old-fashioned royal blue uniform, and that is the only thing I can remember about his appearance. He had a common face, I guess, ridiculously ordinary. "Welcome, ma'am," he greeted me. Old-fashioned, I thought again, because nobody called me ma'am usually. Still, I smiled tiredly at him and greeted him as well. The doors shut right behind me. "Would you please follow me?" the conductor asked me then. I nodded, a little confused but not worried yet. It led me down a row of compartments without any visible windows, while the train departed from the station and quickly gained a lot of speed. It would have been perfectly fine for me to just wait beside the door because the drive would only take about 10 minutes, but I didn't want to offend the conductor. "Do you want to check my ticket?" I asked him and was already pulling said ticket out of my jacket, where I had hastily stored it. "Only as you leave, ma'am." Now that was weird. I traveled by train every day, and the conductors checked the tickets either immediately or came by after a few minutes. But they never checked specifically when leaving. Something about this guy was very strange. I began to feel a little uncomfortable in his presence and clutched the backpack in my hands a little tighter, just in case I had to hit him with it for whatever reason. Okay, I'm assuming that you guys can already infer from what is happening that our author, our intrepid little author, has gotten on the wrong train. As somebody who has very little to no experience when it comes to trains, I definitely can attest to that weird feeling of, or that scary feeling, actually, the nervous feeling that you get when you don't know if you're in the right train. "Compartment number 3 for you, ma'am," the conductor stated and held the door open for me. I walked in and caught a glimpse of our reflections in the window opposite the door. I looked normal, soaked from the rain, but normal. The conductor looked almost human. Almost. Except for the sunken eyes, glowing red in pitch-black sockets. An impossibly wide smile split his face and bared shark-like teeth, and his skin was dark and leathery and stretched tight around his skull. I screamed. For some impossible reason, I didn't freeze at the horrifying sight. but spun around and held my backpack in front of my body, like it could shield me from the monster. But the man in front of me wore his ordinary human face again. "Something the matter, ma'am?" he asked and made a step to the side. So as I glanced behind me to check the reflection once again, I could only see myself, my pale, trembling, frightened self. "It's fine," I told him, but it didn't sound convincing. I just wanted that man out of my sight, preferably leave this train immediately and never think about it again. "Very well," the creepy conductor smiled. "If I can help with anything, don't hesitate to ask. I will inform you ahead of time when we reach your chosen destination." I wanted to say that it should only take a few more minutes to reach my hometown, but I kept quiet. The quicker our conversation would be over, the better. I shifted uncomfortably, tried to reposition myself while looking over my shoulder a few times, but I couldn't manage to catch a glimpse of his reflection again. Maybe for the better. "I'll leave you to yourself now," the conductor finally said. "Have a pleasant journey, ma'am, and thank you for choosing the midnight train." Hello, Abinar Kumar. Welcome in. And hello over there in YouTube. Welcome in, welcome in. We are currently reading a story entitled The Midnight Train. I thanked him because my mom raised me to always be polite to people who only did their job. Did this include creepy men who may or may not be terrifying monsters? Maybe not. But I definitely didn't want this guy to be mad at me. As soon as he shut the door behind him, I fumbled my bag open and pulled my phone out. I remembered boarding the train right before midnight, and I wanted to check how much more time I had to spend here before finally being able to go home. My mind was wandering back to the horrifying reflection again and again, but I banished the thought. This had just been a trick of my tired mind, a strange twisting of an uneven reflection. What confused me more was the fact that, apparently, almost 10 minutes had passed since I boarded the train. We should have reached at least the first station by now. I walked over to the window and tried to look outside, but I was met with pitch black darkness. Not a speck of light was to be seen. Something was very, very wrong. I tried to come up with explanations. A power outage that for some reason didn't affect the train, the clock and my phone not working correctly. Nothing seemed to make sense. I held onto my phone to keep my hands from shaking and sat down on the bed, because what else was I supposed to do than just wait? As I sat down, I heard paper crumble beneath me. I hadn't noticed before, but a piece of paper lay in the bed, and I assumed it was just something another passenger had forgotten there, until I picked it up and started reading. "Dear passenger, you may have noticed by now, but this train is rather unusual. If you hadn't noticed, you're lucky, but that can change any minute. Take it from someone who had to learn it the hard way. I have written down some rules for you, and I pray that I didn't leave out too much. It is vitally important for you to follow them closely. Feel free to edit and add to this list as much as you have to, if necessary. I'd appreciate if you left it in this compartment before leaving. so it can help the next unfortunate soul like it helps you. Good luck. Number 1. If you bought a ticket at the station, you'll arrive at your destination eventually. It might take some time, but you'll get there. If you didn't buy a ticket, I'm sorry. There's no way to leave now. Number 2. Be wary around other passengers. Some are just like you, some benevolent, and some outright malicious. It's hard to distinguish them. Number 3. Don't enter compartment number 18, no matter what you hear from inside. Number 4. The children want to play sometimes. Ignore them until they go away. Their games aren't meant for humans anymore. Number 5. The conductor is neither your friend nor your enemy. He merely does his job, so treat him with respect and don't stare at him for too long. It's impolite. Number 6. You may eat anything from the vending machines. You can go to the dining wagon if you want to, but be careful. If the waiter wears a red bow tie, don't touch the food. Fake an illness and excuse yourself. If the waiter has no face, oh my goodness, what? Run and hide in your compartment. If the waiter is a tall woman with white hair, cut your palm open with your knife and drop some blood on the plate. If she takes the plate with her, she's in your favor now. Number 7. If the lights flicker once or twice, it's fine. If they flicker 3 times or more, leave the wagon immediately and alert the conductor. Make sure you leave before the lights go out. Number 8. There is a man in an old trench coat. He looks like a detective from a film noir. His appearance may scare you a bit, but you can trust him. He is on your side. Number 9. There is a woman in a white dress, weeping on the balcony at the end of the train. I don't know why she's crying, and I don't know what can make her stop. She's not malicious, but she doesn't respond when talked to. Anyways, you're free to visit her. She won't hurt you. Are you sure about that? Number 10. The train occasionally grows larger or shorter. I haven't figured out the reason, but don't worry if it takes longer than usual to reach your destination. Number 11. Throughout your journey, the train will stop at different places. You can go out and explore if you like. Just make sure you ask the conductor for the laws of the town. Don't hesitate to write them down if you have to. Number 12. Do not leave your compartment between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Do not open the door during that time. If you hear something clawing against the door, ignore it. If you hear someone begging to let them in, tell them firmly to go away. The hunters don't take kindly to those who steal their prey. 13. The blind beggar woman offers good advice, but never for free. Make sure to ask for her price before accepting her help. Number 14. Sometimes you'll see blood flowing from a bathroom stall. The girl inside is already dead. Don't try to save her. There's so many rules here, I don't even know if I can remember these if I were in the train myself. Number 15. Your compartment belongs to you. If someone tells you they are your roommate for the journey, alert the conductor. Do not tell them your name. 16. Frozen corpses may approach you. They don't mean to harm you, so talk to them for a while. they have been alone for a very long time. You may offer them food or drinks, but don't take what they offer you. They don't have malicious intent, but what they own has been rotting with them. 17. Fire is feared by beasts and humans alike. 18. Stay away from the bald man with the pale blue eyes in the briefcase, but be polite if he approaches you. He's been here for a very long time. The train listens to his requests. The list seemed to be written by multiple people. For example, the 3 specific possibilities for the dining wagon were written in 3 different handwritings and colors. Some things were written with care, others were hastily scribbled down, like the writer had been in a hurry. I'm not the type of person to believe in stuff like this. Even as a child, I had never been bothered by this chain mail, send this to 10 people or you will die kind of stuff. But I had seen a monster's reflection in the window. The train was driving full speed for 15 minutes now, without ever reaching the next station. And I just couldn't bring myself to think of this as an elaborate prank. This was real. And to be honest, it scared the shit out of me. I fumbled the ticket out of my jacket just to make sure I still had it. I had to be careful not to lose it, if not only to follow the first rule, but also because the monstrous conductor had promised to check my ticket before leaving the train, and I definitely didn't want to antagonize him. After making sure I still had it, I stored it away in the case of my cell phone, where I considered it safe. Then I laid down in the bed. My heart was racing, and my whole body was trembling as I stared up at the ceiling. I knew I had to wait. What else was I supposed to do? I could barely jump out of a window of a train that moved with what felt like several hundred kilometers per hour into the darkness. I began to read the rules over and over again, trying to memorize each one. There was still a chance that none of them would be real. But if they were, I would rather be safe than sorry. Okay, question. If you guys were in their particular situation and you saw the paper with the rules, are you A, the kind that will just put it away and disregard it, or are you B, the kind who will obsessively memorize the rule until you can recite it by heart? Which kind would you be? Something to ponder on. It must have been about 1:30 in the morning when I heard it. Long, sharp claws digging deep into the wood of the door, scratching over it again and again. I screamed as it happened the first time. The rules said to ignore it, but that was easier said than done. I sat up and pressed my body against the wall behind me, trying to move as little as possible, and my breath grew shallow. I didn't dare to make any sound. Do you remember when you were scared at night as a child? When you hid under your blankets and felt safe, because you were sure whatever monster was lurking in the dark couldn't possibly hurt you as long as you had the blanket? That's exactly what I did. I pulled the blanket all the way up to my neck, as if the thin piece of fabric could protect me from the thing that was clawing on my unlocked compartment door, as if a blanket would make any difference. Neither. I'm going out to see why we skipped my stuff. Ginger Nut. Ginger Nut. I'm sorry to say this, but you might be, if you were in a horror movie, you might be the first one to get killed. Just so you know. Why is it unlocked? Why couldn't she have locked it? I don't understand. Why is it unlocked? Are trains not, or train compartments not lockable? I don't know. Anyone here who usually travels by train or who has managed to travel on trains with private compartments? I feel like if they're private compartments, they should be lockable, or they should have locks, no? Oh, probably. Yeah, exactly. Like if you just step out from the compartment, you walk a few steps and then you die. I'm not religious, never have been, but in that moment I prayed to God that I would survive this night. When the clawing stopped, I felt relief. The moment, however, was short-lived, because only a few minutes later there was knocking. Heavy, desperate knocking. "Let me in!" someone from outside shouted. "Please let me in, they're going to kill me." I didn't trust my voice at the moment, but I knew what I had to do. "Go away!" I screamed back, and as expected my voice was trembling. "Please!" The person outside seemed to be in terrible pain. "Please, they will hurt me, they will kill me." I pitied him. Really, I did. Tears were already running down my face because I knew I couldn't help this man, but I couldn't take the risk. "That's not my business," I answered. "Mercy, please," he pleaded. "It hurts so much. Please, have mercy." "Go away." Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I am probably the second type. I would probably be the one to open doors if somebody were screaming outside begging to be let in. I would be that person. In a horror movie, if all the characters were in a place where they were locked or they could lock, I would be the one that would open the door to help some other person who is outside and will probably die as well in the process. I'm way too soft-hearted for my own good. So if they started begging for mercy and they sound very much in pain, I will most likely open it and die. Yeah. Hello, series. Thank you for the 40 bites. Welcome in, welcome in. Another 3 pints. Was it the same broth that you got last night? I'm not sure. Nah, that's where you just give them the bye Felicia. Well, let's hope that the person in the other side is actually not something evil or demonic. I don't know. He suddenly started screaming, simultaneously begging for mercy and crying in pain. There were vomit-inducing wet sounds. Something was growling like a rabid dog. I bit my lip open as I choked back another terrified scream. Whatever was happening out there, and I think I had a good idea about that, made me freeze in fear. I barely dared to breathe at this point. And as the cries finally stopped, I watched in terror as the door of my compartment was slowly pushed open. Oh my god. So they haven't even locked the door. They haven't locked the door, even with all the screaming. I stumbled to my feet, preparing to run from whatever would enter, even though I knew I didn't really stand a chance. I stood in the middle of my compartment, wrapped in my blanket and shaking so hard that I almost expected my legs to give in and just collapse on the floor. What entered was a man, dressed in a bloody hunter's garb. His face and most of his skin was hidden beneath the leather, and I didn't allow myself to look too closely at the pale eyes and his strange-looking hands, because I was afraid of what I might see. "You assisted my hunt tonight," he said with a husky voice that hadn't been used for a long time. I nodded, because I was still crying and didn't feel able to talk. "I shall assist yours as the time comes," the hunter now proclaimed. He put his fist over his heart and bowed. I mimicked the gesture, mostly because I didn't know what else to do. The hunter nodded and left, pulling the door shut behind him and leaving me alone once again. That's when I finally collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. Just want to say, and with all this, she still hasn't locked the damned door. All of that happened about 5 hours ago. I obviously haven't slept, but it has taken me quite a while to calm down and decide how to proceed. I don't have much of a choice, of course, but still. Hello, it's Dandy. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in, welcome in. Nope, no survival instincts there. That is true. I'll have to wait for the train to reach my destination, and until that, I'll make sure to follow the rules. I memorized them all, but I'll still carry the list around, just in case I need to check something. And didn't the list say to leave the paper in the compartment for the next hapless mortal to read? Why would you carry it around? You have a phone. Write them down or type it out on the phone. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm getting I'm getting heated. It's 6 a.m. and the sun is rising now, but the outside is still a blur. Phone reception and the internet seems to work just fine, which is good. I called work and told them I developed a fever and that I'll have to stay home for a while, so that's taken care of. I will keep you guys updated on what's happening here. For now, I guess I'll leave my compartment to get myself some food. From the vending machines, of course. No need to risk the dining wagon. And after that, I'll just see what happens. I certainly hope the train takes me home soon. Although I don't have very high hopes. That was the first chapter alone. If there's one thing that I can say, she should have locked the door. Really, she should have. Okay, let me just mute myself for a little bit. I'm just going to drink some water before we proceed with the next chapter. Alright, let's proceed to the next chapter. Part 2. Hello, Meta. Thank you for the 44 bytes. Also, I have completely forgotten to install the thing that you're telling me about. I just saw the VOD and I saw it. Why so early? I am testing schedules for the ASMR. I wanted to be able to stream ASMR at a different time compared to when I play video games. Alright, let us continue to part 2. And this involves compartment 18. Let's go back to the previous rule. Where is compartment 18 at? Something about, let me just search. You're gonna have to hear. That's not how do I? 1 second, please. Compartment 18. It's not there, okay. Anyways, compartment 18 is the next chapter of the story, but the author has put some disclaimers for it. So, there's a mention in compartment 18. It involves self-exit as well as the unaliving of children. So, if those kinds of things are triggering for you, so I would suggest you click away or mute the stream. When I see ASMR, it's the usual stuff some does with triggers and lick noises or that latex ear sticky sounds is what I thought of it. Well, this time series ASMR is meant to relax you with the stories that I'm reading. I don't know how to do any of those other things. Shall we proceed then? Thank you, Nanya. The only indication that the sun had risen was that the shapeless blur outside the window was tinted in lighter colors now. At least time seemed to work fine here, even if I had no idea where I was. Well, aboard the midnight train, obviously, but not where the train itself was. I hadn't slept last night, of course, not after the incident with the hunter. So after I had calmed down a little, I had started to look around the compartment and found some clothes in the cabinet opposite the bed. Some of them were my size, and the rules didn't mention not to accept them. So I changed my rain-soaked clothes against these dry ones, so I wouldn't catch a cold. For once, she's actually doing something practical and common sense, changing out of her wet clothes so that first, she doesn't get sick, secondly, so that the wet, heavy clothes won't drag her down just in case she needs to make a run for it. So, yeah, there you are. After the apparent sunrise, I finally dared to leave my compartment for the first time. I only took the list of rules, my phone, with a ticket, and my wallet with me, and left everything else behind, assuming I wouldn't need anything else. 1 second, let me just drink some water. Hello, Damon. Thank you so much for the 23 bytes. Welcome in. You're currently in part 2 of the story, The Midnight Train. The hallway was empty and eerily silent. At first, I didn't realize why this unsettled me so much, until I thought that I should at least hear the faint sound of metal scratching against metal, where the wheels of the train were touching the tracks. And yet, there was nothing but deafening silence, even though the train was still moving at full speed. I knew that not all passengers would be nice, and I was honestly scared to meet them. But at that moment, I would have given everything to have another human being around me. Sorry for the sidetrack, but I agree, though out of boredom I also looked at those other ones that stream their underwear. What? And try to match the sound, and I think they're AI because the sound does not match and the looping is seamless. I don't know what particular tag under ASMR you're looking at, series. But hopefully you'll find the stories relaxing. Yeah. I passed another wagon with one compartment after the other before reaching one that actually had people in it. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about them, until I made the mistake to look closer. One man was so tall that he almost hit his head on the ceiling. His limbs were a little too long, and his torso a little too small. A woman looked emaciated, barely skin and bones, sickly pale and fragile looking, and she had a small mountain of candy in front of her, shoving one chocolate bar after the other in her mouth. Another man sat on one of the seats, looking at his hands and grinning like a madman, but in his mouth were no teeth. I didn't look at anyone else, just quickly averted my eyes and concentrated on the vending machines that were placed on the wall in front of me. One for drinks, the other two for snacks. Slender man. Maybe, but I don't think Slender Man has a short torso, no? His limbs are elongated, but it says that his torso is very short. So not very slender of him. One for drinks, the other two for snacks. Nothing inside was a sufficient breakfast, but I hadn't eaten since yesterday noon, and at this point, I would have taken anything that's edible. I got myself 2 bottles of cola because I sure as hell needed something sweet now. A pack of peanuts, some chocolate bars, and a pack of Pringles. Ooh, Pringles. I knew I would get a bellyache from eating all this with an empty stomach, but I'd rather deal with that than the nausea and lightheadedness the hunger was causing. Maybe I'd have to go to the dining wagon at some point, but for now the snacks would suffice. I grabbed all my stuff and made my way back to my compartment, because even though I couldn't lock the door, there it is. So apparently, their compartments cannot be locked. I felt safe there. The thing that had clawed against the door hadn't been able to get in, as well as the hunter's prey, which was reassuring. The hunter got in, of course, but he hadn't been hostile, so maybe the compartment was my safe space in this nightmare. They are in the ASMR category, and I was intrigued by those long streams, so I thought they were endurance streams, but notice the loop after some time, though some uses reruns, while others just use triggers while just chatting with chat. Ah, I see. Understandable. Also, that might sound mean, but I didn't want to spend more time around these other passengers. Maybe they meant no harm. The rules said that it was hard to distinguish the malicious passengers from the benevolent ones, and I didn't want to take the choice. Or the chance, rather. I was halfway through the wagon when I heard the screams. Someone banged against the compartment door I was just passing by, crying in agony and begging me for help. I could distinguish two voices, and they both sounded very young, like children. My first instinct, of course, was to turn to the compartment door and open it to see what was wrong. The children seemed to suffer, and I wanted to help them, try and ease their pain somehow. I almost touched the door handle when it stopped. Don't enter compartment number 18, no matter what you hear from inside. I took a moment to check the number that was written in gold in the door, and as I expected, I was standing in front of said compartment 18. Just to make sure, I pulled the rules out of my pocket and checked if I remembered the number correctly, and yes, I did. The train was already trying to play its tricks on me. I carefully took a step back while the children behind the door were screaming their lungs out. Okay, there is currently an ad running. So in order to give chance as well to those who may be burdened by the ads right now, so I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. All right. I have returned. Anyway, I went there to find something to listen to sleep, because I'm having issues sleeping. I can't break my 3 to 4 hour sleeping habits that I gained from working. I'll go try sleeping again. Alright, series. Please take a good rest. And hopefully, you'll be able to go back to sleep. Let's continue, shall we? I suddenly felt a hand in my arm, and I stumbled backwards, completely blindsided by the sudden contact. As I turned to face the person, I saw a woman about my age, with red hair and dark eyes, looking at me with a worried expression. "Sorry, I didn't want to scare you," she said. "I'm Lily." "I'm Amy," I answered her after a few seconds of hesitation. That was absolutely not my name. I'd had a cat as a child, a beautiful calico with bright blue eyes, which somehow had managed to grow 15 years old, despite being hit by a car twice. Amy had been her name. I just didn't think it would be a good idea to tell anyone on this train my real name, and Amy had been the first thing that came to mind. And that was good thinking on her end. Tell no one your name. Lily apologized again for startling me like that. "I thought you were going to open the door," she then said. "Don't worry, I'm not going to." I didn't want to mention my list of rules. It was nobody's business that I had them. "Good, you wouldn't have come out again." I glanced at the door from where I still heard the children cry for help. "There are no children, right? They're just an illusion?" Lily shook her head, a sad smile on her lips. "No, they are real. They're just not alive anymore." It took me a moment to realize that I was listening to the cries of dead children. I could deal with illusions. What I couldn't deal with were screaming corpses, especially children's corpses. I felt nauseous again. "But how? Why?" I asked, drawing in a shaky breath. "I'll tell you. Come on, let's walk a little." She put a hand on my shoulder and guided me away from the cursed compartment. As soon as the screaming stopped, she started to explain. "It happened in 1945, the day Germany lost the war. A man and a woman, and their 6-year-old twins. The man had been a high-ranked military officer. They had truly believed in the Third Reich, and when it fell, they lost everything. So they decided to kill themselves. Poison that was supposed to be quick and painless. They drank it and gave it to their children too. But the twins didn't drink enough. They suffered for hours, banging against the locked doors and crying for help, while their parents lay dead beside them. Nobody came for help, and they never forgave the people for letting them die in agony. They lure people in with their cries, and if someone opens the door, they let him suffer a painful death, just like they once had. It's their way of taking revenge." I had been afraid of the hunter, or the conductor's reflection, or the thing clawing at my door. But this story did not only terrify me, it made me sick. I choked back the vomit that rose in my throat. Suicide was a topic that made me sick even in my better days, but in combination with the cruel fate of the little children, I felt like bending over and puking right onto the floor. "Are you all right, Amy?" Lily asked. "You look sick." That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard. My chest was too tight. Breathing had become a little difficult. let's just talk about something else, okay? Are you human? I mean, no offense, but this train is a bit weird and I want to know what I'm dealing with. She chuckled at that. Yes, I'm human. Although I've been here for a while. I didn't buy a ticket, so the conductor doesn't let me leave. You're stuck here? Merely thinking about that possibility made me shiver. Trapped for eternity in this hellscape where seemingly everything wants to kill you might just as well be a fate worse than death. Lily smiled at me. It's not that bad, honestly. Once you know what to avoid, it's pretty nice. I did not believe a single word, even if I came as far as memorizing all the rules until I knew them by heart and avoiding all the dangers with ease. I would never call this place nice. It was a nightmare, and I was almost sure that Lily's words were a delusion to keep her from going insane. That's it, I said as we reached the door with the number 3. My compartment. Thank you. My pleasure, she replied. See you around, I guess. I considered asking her to stay because she was nice, and I kind of enjoyed her company. But I wasn't sure if inviting people inside would be a good idea. Yeah, no, don't. A little paranoid, maybe, but that should be understandable. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Oh my goodness. Hello, Aries ASMR. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. My apologies if there are no alerts right now. They're all muted in order to make sure that people are not disturbed when there are notifications. But welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Let me give you a follow back as well. One moment. Wait, I do not know how to do that. There we go. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the follow, Aries. And how do you pronounce your name? Insion? Forgot to get the raid message, but raid. Welcome in, everyone. I am Sister Midnight. I am a vampire hybrid VTuber, and we are currently reading some horror stories. The story that we are currently reading, incidentally, is called The Midnight Train, and we are in chapter 2. Thank you, Insanely Forgettable. It's Aries like Eris. I'm a princess. Ah, I see. Well, welcome in, princess. A Kitsune princess. Welcome in. And thank you so much for entrusting your viewers with me. I'm going to assume from your name that you're doing ASMR as well. And thank you for the bite, by the way. If this is your first time to be bitten, just so you know, I do take a little more than the usual. But it's a gentle nibble. Well, maybe not so gentle because, again, it is your first bite, so I liked your voice, had to come out. Thank you so much. Also, since it is just after your stream, feel free to do some after stream care. And also, you're more than welcome to hang out as well and listen to the stories that we are reading. So without any further ado, let us continue our story. I considered asking her to stay because she was nice and I kind of enjoyed her company. But I wasn't sure if inviting people inside would be a good idea. A little paranoid, maybe. But that should be understandable. considering my current position. So I just told her goodbye and disappeared inside my compartment. Okay, just some context for everyone who just came in. The midnight train starts with our main character hopping into what she thought was her midnight train, or the train that she usually takes when she goes home. It is a 10-minute ride consisting of 3 stations, and then she arrives home. But when she steps into the carriage of the train, she realizes that the train itself did not look like the usual train that she took. It looked a little bit more vintage, a little more old-timey vibe. There was an old conductor that was there to greet her. And as things progress, she finds out a lot of things about the train and the rules that she had to follow if she were to survive and if she were to reach her destination. And one of them was to make sure that she does not let anyone in to her compartment. She is in compartment number 3. She's in a private compartment in the train, which, by the way, cannot be locked, just so you guys know. I stayed there for a few hours, eating my snacks and playing on my phone to distract myself from compartment 18. Although I had calmed down, the story had left an unsettling feeling inside me. It made my thoughts return to the image of bleeding, screaming corpses I had created in my mind. The unhealthy breakfast made me sick, just like I had predicted, so I stayed in bed until my stomach didn't hurt anymore. Thankfully, I brought my phone charger, and the compartment has electricity, so I can keep the battery alive. Well, that's one good thing, I guess. There was internet for some reason. Her phone functioned fine, but she just boarded the wrong train. Being trapped here is bad enough, but without a possibility to contact the outside world, I would panic even more. Okay. Another context. It's already morning, and she has already contacted her work that she would not be able to report, because obviously she is on board a train to God knows where. So she had to pretend she was sick, just so that that people wouldn't be wondering where she was. My mom sent me a message and asked if I wanted to come over, but I told her the same excuse as I told my boss. I was suffering a particularly bad flu infection and didn't want to infect anyone else. It worked. Of course, she's worried now, but telling her the truth would only make it worse. She couldn't help me anyways. I left my compartment again in the afternoon, and there were 2 reasons for that. The first one was that I needed more food. I honestly considered going to the dining wagon for dinner, but I didn't dare. I knew what to do in which scenario, of course, but it still felt like an unnecessary risk. Maybe I'd try tomorrow. Today, I would continue to live off chocolates and crackers. The second reason was that I wanted to find the detective. I had to find out if there were other things I needed to know about this train, things that my rules didn't mention. I suppose I could have asked Lily too, but the rules said I could trust the detective, and I didn't mention her, and I'm still not going to take risks. our main character is very cautious, hence why she was able to survive. I had to go through 2 wagons, keeping my head down and scanning the passengers as discreetly as possible until I found him. The description in the rules had indeed been accurate. It looked like he had jumped right out of an old movie. He was dressed in hat and trench coat, had dark hair and a beard stubble and cigarette between his lips. He was staring out of the window like there was something other than blurry colors to see. I walked up to him. I didn't dare to just sit behind him. I read a lot about inhuman creatures, and while I was sure most of the information was inaccurate, politeness seemed to be key in interacting with most of them. And even if that wasn't true either, it certainly couldn't hurt. "Hello," I said. "I'm Amy. May I sit down?" He turned away from the window to face me, looking at me with his almost black eyes, and nodded. "Of course." Good start, I thought, and sat in the free space beside him. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm new here," I continued. He chuckled. "Figured that much. When did you arrive, kid?" "Last night. I found a list of rules in my compartment and they said that I can trust you, so I thought I'd seek you out. Please excuse me if that bothers you." "Stop with the apologizing," he interrupted me. "I won't bite your head off for a wrong word. I'm not a fae." I nodded quickly. "So can you help me? Is there anything else I need to know?" I handed him the rules and he glanced over them, then gave the list back to me. "Seemed to include all the important stuff," he said. "I wouldn't know what to add. Stick to that and you're safe, kid." It was a relief to hear that. The things on the list seemed manageable. "But why?" I asked because I just had to. I mean, I get that I don't go outside at night because of the hunters, and that I stay away from compartment 18 because of the ghost children. But what's the deal with this train in general? Why is it like that? The detective sighed. "I don't know why it is. Why are you human? Why is a wolf a wolf? I can't explain its nature to you, kid." "Then don't explain the nature, explain the result. What is this place, please?" "Be careful who you beg like that," he replied. "Some may call this a favor and ask something from you in return." I froze. "Are you—" "No," he reassured me and began to explain. "This train is alive. It has a consciousness, a will, and like all living things, it craves food. It feeds off life, so it traps passengers and their beating hearts fuel it." "I guess you can't die of old age here?" I asked. "You won't grow older, but you can still die, of course. Because if the train likes something more than beating hearts, it's violently spilled blood." That explained why it kept ghost children and hunters around, as well as other murderous things. I heard tales of people who went to see the train driver. Apparently, the driver's wagon contains a black, rotting heart in a metal rib cage with veins of flesh and wires. I don't know if this is true. All I know for sure is it needs life. It needs blood, and it attracts tragedies. Do you have a ticket, kid? Yes? Good. That means you can leave if you stay alive for a while. Just don't hide in your compartment and you'll be fine. I raised an eyebrow, confused by his last statement. I'm sorry, did you just say I should not hide? Those who hide away barely make it out alive, it confirmed. Don't know why. They think they're safe and then they break the simple rules. Open the door for the hunter's prey, or give the false roommates their name. I guess the train doesn't like it when they try to hide. I felt my whole body grow cold. What do I have to do? Walk around, talk to passengers. Just don't lock yourself in, kid. She can't lock herself in. You can't lock the door in the compartment. Anyway, disregard that. I nodded. There went my plan to just lock myself inside my compartment and only come out for food until this whole nightmare was over. Thank you, I told the detective honestly. Regarded. Do you have a name? He smirked. Why would I tell you? You didn't tell me yours. He knew. I froze entirely, terrified of what would happen now, what the consequences for my little lie would be. I'm sorry, I apologized quickly. It's fine, he interrupted me. Clever, honestly, using a fake name. You never know what you're talking to. Continue that. But what if others know too? They will understand. Don't bother. Don't bother. I nodded and stood up. Thank you, Mr. Detective. He smiled. No problem, kid. I walked away. My heart was racing and my head spinning. I'd found out a lot, and now I knew what to do. Although I didn't look forward to more interactions with the other passengers, I would do it if it kept me alive. I might be trapped here, but I had a ticket, and that made the situation only temporary. Rip Van, hello. Thank you for the 3 bites. Welcome in. My disciple is here. Well, at least my disciple and where winds meet. How are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. I saw your character in Where Winds Meet last night. I was already wearing a different outfit. I am not stupid. I know how that sounds, but I am capable of following a simple set of rules, especially when my life depends on it. I'll give the train what it wants, but if it wants my violently spilled blood, it has to try harder, because I'm not going to break the rules. I will survive. I will return home, but I'm going to try and sleep now, because staying awake that long certainly isn't healthy, and I need to stay focused. Tomorrow, I will visit the weeping lady in the back of the train. After that, we'll see. I'll keep you updated on how this nightmare continues. Until then, stay away from strange trains at midnight. You don't want to end up here. And that ends chapter 2 of the Midnight Train. So let me open chapter 3, but before we do that, I'm going to take a quick little water break. I will be right back. Okay. I have done my water break. Should probably avoid the cheddar chips. Don't worry, there are no more cheddar chips around. I've already eaten them last night. So they won't be able to fight back or fight in my throat. Alright, so we go to the third and most probably the last story that we will have for today, which is chapter 3. Oh, okay. So remember in the last chapter, our main character said that she is going to visit the Weeping Lady. So chapter 3 is the Weeping Bride and the Man with a Briefcase. My name is Amy, or at least I call myself Amy now. I am still trapped on the midnight train, but I managed to stay alive until now. The detective had told me that the train doesn't like it when passengers hide away in their compartments, so I had no choice but to seek out the company of other passengers. Also, I promised you last time I would visit the weeping woman in the balcony. That's exactly what I did. My breakfast was as terrible as yesterday, again with crackers and chocolate and cola. Right after that, I began my journey to the end of the train. Hello, Ronan. Good afternoon, although I'm sure it is already a good morning for you. Or good evening, I'm not really sure. Tyler Requiem, hello, thank you so much for the follow and welcome in. I heard the children in compartment 18 scream again as I passed, but I simply ignored them. There surely was a way to release vengeful spirits from their torment, but I wouldn't bother with some sort of exorcism. I was here to survive, not to make the train angry at me. 1:31 a.m. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this would be a good stream to listen to make you fall asleep easier. Unless, of course, you're bothered by scary stories, which I hope you're not. Reaching the end of the train wasn't a problem. It took a while, but not long enough to make me wonder whether or not the train extended itself. I walked without hurry until it reached the final door. I paused before I opened it. I had no idea what to expect when I stepped outside because there was nothing to see outside the window. Maybe I could at least see the tracks. It might be dumb, but I was a little scared to go out. Still, I took a deep breath, grabbed the handle, and pushed the door open. Are you familiar with Lovecraft's work? Well, there you go. The story that we just read previously, The White Ship, was by HP Lovecraft. More specifically, the music of Eric Zahn or Nyarlathotep. If so, you will understand why there's not really a way to describe what I saw. But for those of you who don't know his short stories, I will attempt to explain. Imagine every possible color, every single one. Now try to imagine them burning against pitch black darkness while not being visible at all. Imagine impossible shapes swirling endlessly, Imagine black stars against a black sky, burning bright enough to almost blind you. Imagine the physical form of insanity. I only looked at this for a second before I focused on the weeping woman, because I was worried I'd lose my mind if I looked at it any longer than that. It was still enough to burn the image into my mind, and yet I have a hard time recalling it, like a faded memory just too far away to grasp. The woman was young, mid-20s maybe. She wore a white wedding dress and a veil. Her hair was long and blonde, and she covered her face with her hands while she was crying. "Hey," I greeted her. She didn't react. "I'm Amy." Still no reaction. I sat down on the floor, back against the railing, so I faced the door and didn't stare into the maddening abyss. I had expected her to be the least terrifying option, but whatever happened out there made it hard to breathe whenever I glanced at it. I closed my eyes after a while. "You don't talk, right?" I asked the weeping bride. "Does it bother you if I talk?" She was silently sobbing now. I took that as a no. "The train doesn't let me hide, and you're supposed to be one of the nicer people here," I explained to her. "You don't look at this outside thing, do you? I feel nauseous already." No reaction. "Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but this wedding dress and all, you lost someone, didn't you? Your husband?" She was wailing now. Her dress rustled as she was shaking violently. "Yeah, I know. I lost someone too." She made a noise that almost sounded like a question. "It was my dad," I answered the unspoken question. "He committed suicide 2 years ago." I told her that because it seemed to get a reaction out of her. Not so much that she would say something, if she was even capable of talking, but her weeping was reduced to a silent sobbing as I talked. "He hung himself," I continued. "My parents were divorced and he lived alone. He's been dead for hours when they found him. Clinical depression. He'd apparently gone to a therapist and she dismissed him. Didn't recognize the signs for some reason." Talking about it was still hard. The words just didn't want to come out. Each of them tasted stale on my tongue. Those of you who had to recount a trauma might be familiar with the itch deep under your skin, knowing on your bones where you can't scratch it, the invisible rope around your throat that tries to suffocate you to keep the words from flowing. This very specific kind of nausea deep inside your guts. That's how I experience it, at least. I kept talking. "We sued her, and we won and got a lot of money. Mom bought a house, a nice house." I laughed bitterly. "I hate the damn thing. It reminds me of what happened and I can't stand it. I don't want a house or money. The therapist lost her job and I guess you could call it justice. But my dad is still gone. I just want him back." There was movement, and I opened my eyes to see the weeping bride sit down beside me. She was still crying, still covering her face with her hands, but she sat next to me and our arms were touching. "I know," I said. "Mom and I cried for weeks, slept on the sofa together. I can't imagine going through this all alone." We sat together for several minutes and cried our eyes out. Maybe the detective was right. The midnight train attracts tragedies. So that's it. That's the reason why the story of Compartment 18 made me so sick. I'm sorry if that was hard to read for you. Anyways, I had hoped for some sort of reaction from the weeping bride, but she had merely sat next to me and didn't do anything. As I had calmed down again, I stood up and said goodbye to the bride before I went back inside the train. I went inside the first bathroom I came across to wash the tears from my face. My reflection looked at me through red eyes and with red cheeks, so I splashed cool water in my face until I looked better again. I fixed my hair, straightened my jacket, and tried to catch my breath as I noticed something flowing out of the cabin behind me. Blood. Of course. Several liters of dark red blood spilling all over the bathroom floor. I stumbled backwards until my back hit the sink to get away from the dark liquid. I remembered the rule, the one about not trying to save the dead girl in the toilet cabin. But the rules were still vague as shit and didn't specify what the correct reaction was. To be honest, I half expected the door to open up and reveal a flood of blood, the Shining style. I did the only thing that seemed logical. I ran out of the bathroom before anything else could happen. I got away from the bathroom door, ran almost to the end of the wagon, and leaned against the window. A trail of bloody footsteps was left in the carpet, but they were already fading, as if the train was absorbing it. "What's your damn problem?" I asked the train angrily. "I went outside, didn't I?" I didn't get an answer. Not that I expected one. Maybe it had been really stupid to scream at the train, but honestly, this thing had no reason to treat me that way. I tried my best, okay? I walked through the wagons back towards my compartment because I certainly had seen enough for that day. But about halfway there, I ran into Lily. "Hey, Amy," she greeted me with a bright smile. "How are you?" "I'm fine, I guess," I shrugged. Just talked to the weeping bride. "Oh, she's a great listener, right? The poor thing. Nobody knows what happened to her. I mean, she obviously lost someone, but nobody knows the details." I had hoped that Lily would know something about her, because she had known the story of Compartment 18, and I had just assumed that she knew a lot of stories about this train, since she's been here for a while. On the other hand, did I really want to hear more horror stories? I had planned to return to my compartment. Socializing for the day was done. The train couldn't expect me to run around the whole day, and I just wanted to lie down for a bit. Yes, I had managed to sleep last night. No, it had not been relaxing. I had woken up every few hours, suffered from nightmares about dead children and about blood-covered hunters and their skinned dogs that hunted me through the eerily silent train. But now there was Lily, and what can I say except that she looked stunning? Her red hair fell in soft waves over her shoulders. She wore a sundress with a flower pattern and a knitted white jacket, and she looked like a ray of sunshine in this nightmare world. Anyways, this stunningly beautiful woman was standing in front of me and smiled at me, and maybe I could forget my current situation for just a couple of minutes. So I asked her if she wanted to hang out with me for a while. She agreed. Of course she agreed. She led us to a wagon that was almost empty, where we sat down next to a window. I won't go into detail about our conversation because honestly, it's not important. Small talk mostly. I learned that she's been here for 4 years now, and we talked about life before the train, not family. That topic would hurt too much. We talked about music, our favorite movies, childhood, and school, and I felt almost relaxed while I was with her. We sat for hours until we both were hungry, and I got up to fetch us something from the vending machines. Sounds simple, right? You know me. I wouldn't mention it if it had been as trivial as one might think. I was standing in front of the vending machines, trying to decide what to get for Lily and me, when suddenly someone talked to me. "Good evening," the someone greeted politely. I looked up, and next to me stood a tall man. He was bald and had pale blue eyes, wore a three-piece suit and a black coat, and in his right hand he carried a briefcase. His age was impossible to determine. Something between 30 and 60, I guess. The man with the briefcase. The one the rules had warned me about. So if any of you still remember, one of the rules said, do not approach the man with the briefcase, but if he does approach you, then you have to be polite to him. I forced myself to smile as I looked up at him. "Oh, hello, good evening, sir. I'm Amy." He chuckled at that, and I couldn't tell if that was something bad. "A new face, then. When did you arrive here, Amy?" "2 nights ago," I answered honestly, even though I was pretty sure he already knew. I stood perfectly still in front of the vending machines, hands clutched to my jacket and breathing shallow. He nodded. "How do you like the midnight train, Amy?" He was definitely mocking me with that name right now. Not that I would call him out on this. I like to live, after all. "I'm still getting used to it." I didn't lie. Not outright, at least. I recognize a double-edged sword when I see one, and therefore I wouldn't lie to him, but I wouldn't offend him either. It's rather unusual. I've met a few nice people, and the interior is beautiful. The man with the briefcase nodded again, stared at me with his pale eyes, and said nothing for several seconds. I was still frozen in place, dug my fingernails deep to my palms, and barely dared to breathe. Maybe he would kill me, right then and there, because something about my words had been wrong, because I had somehow managed to offend him, because he simply wanted to, and creatures like him just did things like that sometimes. He didn't kill me, of course. How would I type this if he had? "You're scared," he simply stated. Somehow I felt guilty for this. "I'm sorry, I'm still getting used to this," I wanted to repeat. He interrupted me. "Good, Familiarity breeds recklessness. Fear will keep you alive. Remember that. I will, I nodded quickly. Thank you, sir. I did not ask him for his name. He knew that Amy wasn't my real name. I was sure about that, so he wouldn't answer me anyways, just like the detective. Goodbye, Amy. He looked at me for a moment with something that was almost a smile, then turned away and left me alone again. I still didn't move as I watched him walk down the hallway. A man was walking in the opposite direction, and he looked painfully human. Around 40 years old, graying hair and dark bags under his eyes, pale and obviously sleep deprived. Maybe he was new, just like me. He bumped into the man with a briefcase. Oh no. Looked up for a second and then hissed, "Watch out, old man," before continuing his way in my direction. The man with the briefcase said nothing, just looked at him for a few seconds. Saucy Jose, hello. Thank you so much for the resub. 11 months with Prime. Thank you, thank you. I'm also sleep deprived and pale, said Sophie. Yes, but the man here is 40 years old something, so you're not the 40-year-old sleep deprived man. You are the 20-something young man who is sleep deprived. There's a difference. The man with the briefcase said nothing, just looked at him for a few seconds with an ice-cold expression on his face. The glare wasn't meant for me, but I still shivered under the intense gaze. They found the tired man's body a few hours later. I haven't seen it, luckily. Lily told me, pale and trembling and with tears in her big brown eyes. Apparently his throat and wrists had been cut open, and he was almost completely bled out. I'm scared for my life again. I don't think the tired man had been a bad person. He just hadn't slept enough and had been scared because this train was terrifying, and he most likely hadn't had a list of rules like I do. Just one moment where he'd let his anger get the better of him, and now he was dead. That could have been me, if I didn't know the rules by heart now. My head hurts. Lily stayed in my compartment for half of the night, because the incident scared her too. Not for her own life, but for mine. Because she had seen me talking to the man with a briefcase, and now she's worried something might happen to me. She's such a sweetheart. Okay, before I continue, I feel like Lily is going to play an important role later on, and she may not actually be who she claims to be, so I'm kind of scared about that. It breaks my heart that she's trapped here. I managed to sleep a little again, still plagued by nightmares, but it's better than nothing. That's it, I guess. I just thought I'd update you guys now because I fear the next post will have a lot more content. There's just been an announcement that the train will reach a village in a few hours, and we're allowed to go out and explore. Oh no, a village. Lily asked me to go with her, get a bit of fresh air. I'm not sure if I want to go out into the whatever nightmare the midnight train reaches, but I don't feel comfortable with letting Lily go alone. And the train doesn't want me to hide, right? I'm afraid my fingers tremble a little as I'm writing this, but I still believe that I can survive. I know the rules. I talked to the man with the briefcase, and I'm still alive. I'll update you again as soon as I return from the village. I hope it won't be too bad. Until then, be polite to anyone you meet. It can be a matter of life and death. And that is our last story, our last chapter for today, I mean. Lily gonna be a vampire succubus. You never know. Ginger. You never know. But I feel like she's going to play a very crucial role somewhere down the line. So we have already read 3 chapters so far. There are 10, I believe, 10 chapters to this story. So we're gonna find out later. Anyways, it is now almost 5 p.m. here on my end. And as much as I want to continue reading, my throat can only take so much beating from all the yapping. Although the yapping is turned down a little bit, but it does still strain my throat for some reason. I don't know why. It strains my throat still, even if it is, if I pitched it, no, not pitched it down, but I lowered the timbre, I guess. Also, thank you for the 11 bites, Hasia Hase, and once again for the 11 months as well. Our sleep-deprived college student who is constantly at the library. Hopefully studying. Under warranty for eternal unlife. Anyways, before we end the stream, let's try to see who we can raid. Yeah? Let's try to see who we have available that we can raid and okay, I had to mute because I was hearing myself. Okay, 1 second. I'm invested starting the story back tomorrow. I am continuing the story, yes. You're continuing the story, yes. Hopefully I'll be able to... It's either in the morning or in the afternoon. Because the evening will be dedicated to gaming streams. That's what I meant. I see. Yes, so that is what we are going to do. Okay, let me see who we can raid. Also, hopefully with ASMR. Let's find out, shall we? Let us see. I need to find... Oh, wait. Well, let's see who we can raid. I saw someone who was actually okay, so there is one that is just relax and sleep. Let's see. Real life waifu ASMR. Let's see. I am curious now. I see, okay. We already have that. No, but this is real life, Sasya said. You have a real life waifu? Who is it? You're gonna have to tell me. Who is this real life waifu? I'm trying to see. Oh, thank you. Well, there is... How many? there's I don't know where to bring you guys because do you guys wish to go to a plant? A plant instead? Let me see. They're doing ASMR, but they are a plant. Are they? Okay. They're I don't know. So they're talking to their chat. Alright. We're gonna try her out. Let's see. We need to make sure that it is a follower friendly, or it won't. Yes. Let's go back to that. Go back to where I was. Yes. And then we go raid. Alright, there we go. So, it is now exactly 5 p.m. and I have been live for, let me see, 3 hours and 2 minutes. Thank you guys so much for staying with me until the end of the stream. A big thank you as well to those who followed, who dropped follows, and of course the big raid from from Aerie ASMR, the Princess Eris. Thank you for the big raid and for those who dropped follows, and of course to those who resubbed as well or subbed with their Prime subscription. I am very grateful and honored that you chose me as the channel you subscribe to with your Prime subscription. Thanks. So thank you guys so much. I will see you guys in my next stream, and as always, keep safe. This has been your vampire Oneesama Sister Midnight, signing off. Let's go raid, everyone. Bye for now.